This is Entrepreneurs Get Visible, the podcast for people who want more impact, influence, and income. I'm Anna Parker-Naples, and I'll be sharing with you proven methods from leading entrepreneurs that help you get visible as an authority in your field. Because anything's possible when you get visible. Hello and welcome to Entrepreneurs Get Visible. Today we're talking about something that I believe everyone in the online space should be making use of. We are talking about how to have not just an online course, but a very successful online course. And I'm joined today by someone who has the privilege of being a two-time guest on my show. I think we've only had one or two others do this before. I'm joined today by Liam James Collins, who is from the Coaching Masters. And we're talking today about why having a digital course is something you can't miss out of your entrepreneurial toolkit. So welcome back to the show, Liam. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you for inviting me back a second time. It is a privilege.
It is a privilege. So last time we ended up going on all sorts of tangents because we both have acting backgrounds and we went all over the place. But today we want to make sure we're super focused with you guys understanding exactly why and how you can create an online course without it taking forever so that it serves your audience and so that it serves your income. So let's talk about that, Liam. Where does someone start with this?
So I think one thing that you mentioned a minute ago is really interesting when you said, look, everybody should have this, right? And in 2021, that couldn't be more true, could it? You know, not even just entrepreneurs, but everybody has knowledge. Everybody has wisdom. Everybody has expertise. Everybody has something within their own minds, within their heads that's valuable to another person. So the idea of being able to package that up and sell it online is very attractive in 2021. Especially with everything that's going on in the world. You know, COVID has happened, whether we like it or not, and I'm not sure many people would like it, but, you know, whether we like it or not, everyone's moving online. People are looking for a new opportunity. People are stuck at home and people have value to add. Even if you don't realize it, you've got value to add and you have superpowers that other people would find very valuable. And packaging that up is indeed a very valuable thing.
So what I like about what you said is the fact that I believe we as humans can make impact in the world in some way. And very often that is sharing our expertise or our knowledge. And right now in the world, obviously, things are pretty challenging, and particularly here in the UK. As we're recording this, we are slap bang in the middle of lockdown. God knows when it's ever going to end. And actually, I think there's a real kind of acceptance that we aren't going back to how things were before. And so this isn't about just doing something because we're in lockdown and because COVID's happening. This is about really fronting up to the fact that things have changed and moved on. And instead of resisting that, going with the revolution that is happening. And that revolution is happening online.
Definitely, 100%. It's really interesting with the Coaching Masters because it seems as though our timing was just impeccable because, and I know I mentioned this last time, Anna, when I was on your podcast, but, you know, I used to be a postman. And when people say, oh, you know what, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I look at that and I think, what's behind that? But for me, I used to be a postman. Lewis had a very troubled upbringing and he was in prison and he turned his life around. Like, we really are those guys where it's like, if we can do it, anyone can do it. And so we had this coaching knowledge, we had this coaching expertise, and we decided a few years ago to package that up online and sell online courses, which qualify people as coaches. So our timing was so good because we were already selling online courses way before, you know, COVID and way before everybody was in this kind of trapped position. So we were doing it before it was like we needed to do it. We were doing it because we saw the value in it. And the Coaching Masters has just grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. You know, we've got to that point where we're turning over $1 million a year now, which we're just very proud of. We've just opened up a coffee shop in Bali. We've got big projects on the go. And everything that we've done up until this point has come from selling online courses. So we know a lot about it.
And it's global. So you're dropping in there to those of us locked up in our own houses that you've just opened up a coffee shop in Bali. You can, of course, do that because Lewis, who is your business partner, the co-founder of the Coaching Masters, lives a pretty much nomadic lifestyle. And I first met Lewis actually, gosh, it must be about 2 years ago now, almost to the date. We both signed up for the same mastermind. We didn't end up both continuing in it, but he at that point didn't know where he was going or what he was doing. And actually, because you guys started this business that was intended to be global and intended to allow at least one of you a laptop lifestyle, that has actually become his reality. And aren't we all a little bit jealous that that's where he is right now and we're just inside our own keyboards?
But it's incredible when you see what has happened and what we've grown. And just to think that 100% of it has come from the development of online courses. You know, people look at the Coaching Masters and they see us as a coaching organization, which, you know, that's where a big element of our expertise lies. But we're not really a coaching organization. We are an online education platform. We're edutech. We're an academy. We create online courses and we sell them. That's what we do. And if anything, that's what we know the most about. That's what we're really passionate about. So seeing what's happened in the world over the last year is quite crazy for us to watch it, because now everybody's in this position where they're understanding the power of doing something online and understanding the power of being able to hand over their experience and be able to hand over their knowledge and expertise. But we've been doing it for the last couple of years. So we're very passionate about getting people involved in that exact thing.
And I think when you can realize that the stuff you know in your head, not everybody knows. And it doesn't matter almost what it is. This could be about crocheting. This could be about gardening. This could be about coaching, meditation, mindset, mindfulness, things that change people's lives. It could be about business. But it could just be something that you have. And that's one of the interesting things about this online space, is that people do want to learn. We have a thirst for education, knowledge, and connection to people who know more than us. And that's often way beyond going and watching something on YouTube. Definitely. So I had someone say this to me: why would you create an online course about such and such? I could just watch it for free on YouTube. Well, you could, but do you? Do you actually extract from watching a video on YouTube the exact knowledge that you need in the order that you need it in order to take that A to Z roadmap, if you like?
No, precisely. I mean, that's like the equivalent of saying, well, you know what? I could hire a personal trainer, but then I could watch a video on YouTube. And it's like, yeah, you could go and watch a video on YouTube. Go and do that. Go for it and watch how you have no accountability. You have no personal mentorship. There's no real guidance. And just some people will go and make a success out of that. The majority won't. And this is that form of personal mentorship, that guidance, that expertise when you actually, and also another thing about that, you know, as me and you know, Anna, people that invest are invested. People that pay money pay attention.
It's
and
so
you
true.
need to be invested in the process, because the long and short of it is that building an online course, a very successful one, is very, very possible. But it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's possible. And it takes some work and it takes some time and it takes some investment. Anyone can do it. But if you're just going to sort of half-ass it and think, oh, well, I'll watch a couple of YouTube videos, I can tell you from experience, it's not going to work.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is what we say with podcasting as well. It's not actually the doing it. Anyone could do it. But if you don't do the planning and the strategy and you don't launch it properly, you're not going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about what it takes then, what you have to do right at the beginning when you go, okay, I'm ready. I want to have an online course. I want to join everybody who's got some passive residual income. Definitely. Where do they start?
Well, the place that they have to start is that they have to realize, everybody listening to this has to realize that they have a superpower. Now, the biggest mistake that people make is that when they're very, very good at something, they assume it's not valuable because they think, oh yeah, but everybody's good at that. And it's a huge mistake. You might be excellent at baking, car maintenance, dog grooming or dog training. You might be excellent at coaching, which is what my expertise was. And you could look at that and think, but that's easy. That's easy. Everybody's good at that. But that's not the case. And in fact, there are hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people, millions maybe even around the world, that want to learn that one thing that you find easy because it's your superpower. So that's step number one. Figure out what is your superpower. What are you good at? If you were going to package up some knowledge or expertise, what would that be?
And it's usually so close to home before you go. It's usually so close to home, you might not even realize. Someone else might go, that's the thing you talk about all the time. That's the thing we come to you for advice on.
Well, at this stage, I'm in the sort of early stages of a project here, which I'm looking forward to telling you about, but I won't name any names at the moment. But recently I've been talking to a very, very famous baker. And I was talking to this baker about the idea of creating an online course that teaches people how to bake from home. And to them, it was like it was revolutionary. They couldn't believe it. The idea had never crossed their mind. We're talking about COVID. We're talking about the effects of the high street shutting down. And they're saying, you know what? My bakeries, which have been doing very well up until this point, it's not as good as it used to be. It's pretty tough at the moment. I'm introducing them to the idea of putting their expertise in the form of an online course. And they had never thought about it. And for me, someone who's been working online and building a business online for the last few years, it's like it shocks me.
How can you not understand the potential that's out there for your bank account? How can you not?
Precisely, especially someone with authority, with a large following, with a big presence. And I'm like, look, you're very colorful as well. If you package this expertise up, you're going to sell it. Like, you're going to sell it. But to answer your question, Adam, the second thing is one thing that we teach people when we teach people how to build an online course. We find one of the biggest things that stops people is they think, oh, but you know what? I don't want to go through all of this process of building an online course because then maybe I won't be able to sell it. And we teach people a process where you sell the course first before you've even built it. And that's sometimes, I think, with people like me and you hear that and think, well, that makes sense, because I want to, save my time and I want to make sure that it's desirable to people. I want to make sure I can sell it. But a lot of people, like the general public, they'll hear that and think, hang on a minute, that's like a great idea.
So much fear, though, in doing that for the first time. I mean, we do it all the time. We'll see, does someone want this service before I go away and make it, before I film those videos, before I write the content? Exactly. Because I already know in my heart what I would teach in it. Yeah. You already have that mapped out for yourself. It's not just that you've come up with a name. Exactly. You actually know what it would be. You have to know what it would be to create a sales page.
Exactly. You know the syllabus, right? You know what you're going to be doing week on week. And all you need to do is be able to essentially let people know via that sales page and by conversation, this is what we're going to cover. And then when you get to the point where you've gained enough interest and you've sold enough spaces, then you go and create the course. So we always recommend people start there. Find your superpower. What can you package up and sell it before you've created it?
I am with you on this one. We've done this many times. And not only does it mean that you get super clear on what people want, you get super clear on whether it's worth your time. And I think from there on, once you know what works and what doesn't, you're learning. You're in the learning phase of being an online entrepreneur. Yeah. So what then? So you've got the concept, you know you're going to sell it. What happens then? What are the processes then to getting a result for people?
Sure. So you've got to sell this thing. We have to sell this thing. Now, there's loads of different avenues or ways that you could sell an online course, right? But what has worked for us, and this is quite interesting about the Coaching Masters, because every single one of our courses, what we do is we create a course based on what's worked for us. If we've not tried it, it's not in the course. If we don't know about it, it's not in the course.
And that's because it's so easy for you to teach from a standpoint. And actually, exactly. I'm going to say it's not just whether it's worked for us. One of the things that I often find myself teaching from is I did this and this didn't work, and this is my learning and this is why, and this is what changed. So very often those struggles and challenges that we've been through, they're actually highly sellable. They're highly sellable if you understand the value of what you've been through and you know how to package it up.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, because they're highly sellable and they're highly valuable as well, because what people are buying off of you is not the ability to not have to make that mistake that you made. They're buying that time back that you invested. So everybody that's got to that point where they're like, right, someone's listening to this right now and they're thinking, you know what? I'm actually really good at dog grooming. Maybe I could actually put a bit of a package together where I sell an online course specifically teaching people how to groom their Alsatians, because I'm really good at that. I've got 10 of them and I'm an expert in that field. But of course, what we've got to do is you've got to be able to relay that message, right? You've got to be able to relay the message to people that would actually care about that. What's worked for the Coaching Masters is webinars, right? Now, people will sometimes say, we know webinars have been around for a long time. Is it still a format that works? Is there something else that we can find that's revolutionary? And our mindset with that is essentially a webinar is the equivalent of standing up in front of a group or standing up in front of an audience, adding lots of value around your topic, and then leading into selling your course. That's worked for us time and time again. And I think the reason it's worked is because we make sure that whenever we host one of these webinars, one of these online events, we just pack it with value to the point where people that attend those webinars or watch them, they think, well, if this is what we're getting for free, then of course I want to go and see what this 16-week course is all about, or this 12-week course, or this 5-week course. So just add as much value to people's lives as possible in the form of an online training or a webinar around that topic. And then that will generate interest towards whether people want to start learning more from you. And then you can start selling some courses. Bearing in mind, you've not created the course at this point. Yeah. So literally the only bit of creation that you've created is the webinar, which is like after having created the slides and recording it, we're talking like 45 minutes to an hour's worth of work that can then just be regurgitated, which is a pretty horrible word, but again and again and again and again. And that's your presentation. That's your sales pitch. That's your format.
Automated, not regurgitated. Regurgitated is like you're spewing something up. Actually, I'm going to flag something up here that my lovely dad, who obviously I don't see quite so much of during COVID, I said to him, he said, how's your launch going? He doesn't really understand what the launch actually is, doesn't really understand how the online space works. And he said, how many have you got signed up for your challenge? How many have you got for your webinar? Not knowing that they're sales mechanisms. And he said, and they're getting all that for free. Why are you giving it all away for free? And I've explained it to him so many times. But what he's coming from, and many of you in the audience who don't host masterclasses or challenges or whatever your sales funnel is, if you've not done that, you can come from that scarcity mindset that if I'm giving all that value for free, no one's going to want to buy anything. Well, the truth is, no one's going to want to buy anything from you unless they know you're good at it already. Exactly. You have to initiate that. What's it? Reciprocity. What's that book called? You know the book Influence by Robert Cialdini. I never know how to say his name.
Sure.
But you're about buying goodwill with people so that they trust you, so they go on this journey with you. And it's incredibly powerful. So if you're listening and you're thinking, there's no way I could sell something before it's created. I wouldn't feel safe. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I'd feel like a fraud. Well, this is what most of the world who are selling online is doing right now.
Yeah, precisely. That's the thing, and it's if you feel confident in your area of expertise, that needs to be the thing that gives you the confidence to sell a course knowing that you haven't created it yet. Like I said previously, at the Coaching Masters, we have a small handful of courses that we've created that have now got to the stage where they're generating us over $1 million a year. And each and every single one of our courses, the very first time we ran it, we were creating it as we ran it. We knew what was involved. We knew the syllabus. We knew the content. We knew what we were teaching, but it hadn't been made yet. And so we highly recommend people do that, because I've just known so many people that have said to me, Liam, well, I spent 6 months building this course and no one bought it.
Well, why? Because you've not built an audience who trusts you yet. I see the same thing myself, and we've done exactly the same thing in my business. We create the concept, we've planned it out, mapped it out. We're not making it up. We know what's coming and trust my expertise. We deliver after we've sold it, and then we can repackage that up in some way. Sometimes that is a question that we can repurpose the live teach that we did. Sometimes as we do that first process of a course, we realize we get audience or participant feedback that there's too much in one part of the course, and actually that would be better over two separate elements. You don't know that if you've spent weeks and weeks and weeks putting it all together. I actually have a friend who created 127 videos for a course as she came into the online space. Does she regret doing that? Yes, she does, because it was too much information.
Yeah, precisely. And that was it. And it's almost like you look back on that and you think, well, I spent all of that time, I spent that money recording that, but it could have been done along the way, because like you said, Anna, you're getting that customer feedback. I mean, the very first time me and Lewis ran our signature course, our 12-week accreditation, we learned so much from the people that were on that course in terms of what works, what doesn't work, what they want. And we refined it and we refined it. And we'd ran it, I would say, I can't remember now, but we ran it live about 3 times, I think, until we got to the point where we were like, that's it. That's what we're going to do. Because our format was that we would actually gather our students on a Zoom call, and we would share our screen and we would go through all of our slides, and week on week on week, that was how we delivered the course. And then we would use the recording of that once we really nailed it to package up and then sell as an online course. So this is what we teach. There's loads of different ways of creating an online course in a way that doesn't need to take away your time, doesn't need to take away your money, and doesn't need to fill you with that fear of, oh yeah, but will anyone buy it? Will they like it? Because you're going to learn. You're going to learn along the way.
And I think it removes the need to have everything perfect. For those perfectionists out there, let yourself just have a bit of courage about this, because you can create as you go. And it isn't because you're winging it. It's because this is actually a really smart strategy. Exactly. So I know, Liam, that you have something very special that you want to share with my audience today. So tell us about what's coming up to help them have not just an online course that does nothing and isn't actually very good, but a very successful online course that helps your people and helps your bank account.
Definitely. So on the 23rd of February, we are beginning a 3-day course creator masterclass completely for free. So there's a link in the show notes on this episode of the podcast. So just click that link and join this Facebook group that we've created. It's a nice little pop-up Facebook group specifically for this training. So myself and my two business partners, Lewis Raymond Taylor and Johnny Mitchell, as I mentioned, we have come from being a prisoner and a postman, which used to be the name of our podcast, just very normal guys with backgrounds where we've been trying to figure out what we want to do in our lives. And we've created the Coaching Masters, a 7-figure business that is built on the shoulders of online courses. And we know that everybody listening to this, you have a very successful online course inside of you. So if you click that link in the show notes and join this free training, it's completely free. It's 3 days long, and we're just going to hand over everything we know in the realm of creating, launching, and delivering your very own online course.
I like these guys. I trust these guys. If you want to get your online course out there quickly and easily, just do it. For me, my business wouldn't exist if I hadn't learned some of these techniques. I didn't learn them from Liam at all. I'm going to just put that out there. But this is exactly how you can get a concept to market as quickly as possible. And that not because you want to do that as quickly as possible, but because right now, many of you need to have the extra cash in your bank. And this is actually going to speed it up. So invest in yourself, learn how to do this properly. When I first came into the online space, I made it up. I had no guidance and I got so many things wrong. And I don't want that for you. So go check out the link in the show notes. So Liam, thank you so much for joining us today. And is your podcast still running, the Coaching Masters podcast?
Yes, it is. Indeed, it is still running. It is the Coaching Masters podcast. So yeah, definitely go and check that out as well.
Go check that out. So thank you so much for joining us today, Liam. Just to round up, if someone is wanting to get more visible and build their business at the same time, what would you suggest to them? What would be your 3 takeaways?
Build an online course, 100%. Learn how to do that from people that have got proven results, and understand that what you find easy is highly valuable and highly, highly sellable.
Excellent. And take that advice, go do something with it, and go click on that link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for joining us today, Liam. Take care.
Thanks, Anna. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Entrepreneurs Get Visible. To get your free checklist on how to raise your profile and to find out about our community, go to annaparkernaples.co.uk/get visible.